cloud security from Alibaba Cloud for the past 2 days. So today is the last day for ACA Cloud Security. So today we'll be learning about the host security on Alibaba Cloud as well as about the firewall and other monitoring products. So by the end of this module, you'll be able to understand the importance of host security, and then we learn about the security center and the Bastion host. So firstly, we see about the host security challenges, and then the security center and managing the cloud resources. So why is security on the cloud important, and why should we concerned about it? Can anybody answer this question? I will give you some time, so you just think and let me know the response. Why you need to be so concerned about security on cloud? Protecting privacy data to make our server secure, because public net is high risk, to protect data in the cloud, prevent data stealing. Yeah, all these are almost correct. Now we have some challenges in host security. We see about the traditional deployment model, and then about the distributed computing model which we use today, and then we learn about the host and container security and ensuring the host security. So what are the challenges with the traditional deployment model? Traditional deployment model means your own server, like on-premises server. So if you are having on-premises server, you need to have your own intrusion detection system, firewall, SIEM, and even antivirus. All these should be managed by the end user, and you should install and manage all those services for the on-premises server. And also it has like a high resource consumption, and then there is a risk of single point failure, and then it is highly dependent on host capacity. And then we go to the nuisance alarm, like these are like some alerts which we get, and this will give rise to some extended response time. Like it will not be fast enough, like the traditional servers, it will not be fast enough. It will require more time to respond for all the requests. And then it is difficult to maintain, that you need to employ some people to manage all your server resources. So these are the challenges which we see with the traditional deployment model. Now we see about the distributed computing model. So this is like something about the public cloud. So it has a greater cost control. Like in the on-premises server, you need to buy a lot of hardware, and it involves a lot of infrastructure cost. But here it has a greater cost control, and then it is used for agile development, and then you can scale the resources anytime and anywhere. And then we have a lower operations and maintenance for the day-to-day cost. And then it is used for fully managed systems, and you can deploy it anywhere with a global coverage. So these are all the benefits with the distributed computing model. And the users will have some risks, like having weak passwords and improper configurations. Like when you think about the weak passwords, it's like people, when they create their passwords, they just for a namesake, they follow the password naming convention, but mostly they will have like very unconventional way of defining a password, like admin123, something like that. So those are like the weak password that anybody can hack into the system. And then we have like some system risk, like outdated software or operating system, complex patch or fix management, too many assets, and then we have like too many agents to install, and then we have resource contention and multiple control panels. So these are all the system risk which we have with the cloud systems. And then we have external risks like the DDoS attacks, ransomware attacks, SQL injections, and then the brute force attacks. So we need to uh, manage all these types of attacks. Like for example, whether it is a DDoS attack or like for a ransomware attack, it has to manage it. Now we have the host and container security. So in the host and container security, we have the container security to look on first. So when we think about the servers in the cloud, nowadays we are going into the cloud native based systems. So for that, we use a lot of containers. So this containers is like hosted in the orchestration engine, and it has like a container sandbox, intrusion detection, image scanning, and image signature. So these are all the features which are fed into the container security. But when it comes to the host security, it will correspond to the host and the virtual machine which we have created. And this will attack directly to the host via physical or network. And then we have intrusion detection, malicious code detection, system kernel, global monitoring and real-time analysis, vulnerability management, and OS and image hardening. And then we see about ensuring host security. We look on to strong password policy. The minimum password length we need to specify. Like these are the things which I described during the account security on the day one, right? So we should have a minimum password length. It should have a mix of digits, characters, and special characters. And you need to rotate the passwords regularly, like once in 6 months or 3 months, you have to keep changing the passwords. And then you have to specify like the recently used passwords cannot be reused. And then we have multi-factor authentication using like one-time passwords via email or text or voice messages. And then we have the biometric input with the SSH key authentication through Linux. And then for the network access control, we have the access to the remote management ports from the internet which are denied. And then we have the data in transit, which is encrypted end to end. It is used for the secure encryption algorithms and the protocols. It uses the host firewalls to enhance the network access control. Now we have the best practices which you need to follow for the host security. So we have like the three major verticals for the best practices. They are prevention, detection, and response. Initially, we have to prevent it from happening. And if it has happened, then we need to detect, and then you need to provide a response based on that. So then we see about the Cloud Security Center. Security Center is one cloud service in Alibaba Cloud, which is used to analyze the security threats based on some security event related alerts. So we have like the Cloud Security Posture Management Service and the Cloud Workload Protection Platform, CSPM and the CWPP. So CSPM is like a security center which provides a configuration assessment feature to prevent the cloud services from being attacked due to the configuration errors and misinterpretations. And then CWPP is like a security center which provides a protection capability for workload, including the host and container. So this is the difference. The first one is with the normal cloud services, and this one CWPP is with the hosting of cloud and container. And then we see about the different planes. We have the control plane and the data plane. So we have the cloud workload protection platform in the data plane, and then we have the uh, IAM configuration, network configuration, and storage and platform as a service with the control plane. So to sandwich between the CWPP and CSPM, we have cloud native security services. So you can see like some number of services which are listed down. Now we see into the service architecture. So here we look into like one platform, two focuses and three scenarios. So on the baseline, we have the three scenarios, and on top of it, we have two focuses and one platform on top of the pyramid. So we have the compliance prevention, threat detection, and unified protection as the baseline, where we have the CSPM for the compliance prevention and threat detection, and the hybrid architecture for the unified protection. And then we have the CWPP for the endpoint security and the container security, with which you use it for the workload EDR, ransomware and malware protection, cryptojacking protection, tamper proofing, and application control. So all these type of attacks can be managed using this container security. And then we have the Cloud Security Operations Center, which is used for managing the security incident event management. And then we have the security orchestration, automation, and response. And then configuration and hardening using the vulnerability management. So this configuration hardening is used for managing the cybersecurity benchmark, weak password, cloud securities, best practices, and so on. And then we see the need for security center. What is the need for security center? Is like we have a unique security management, which is provided by threat management for your entire network, the server guard management on different platforms in one console. It supports Alibaba Cloud, multi-cloud offline IDC management solutions. And then we have a proactive defense, which has antivirus and anti-ransomware with the threat detection, container escape, and anti-tamper. And finally, we have this automated security operations, which includes vulnerability detection and remediate automatically. And then it has a continuous baseline check, access key leak detection, and the cloud native CSPM with the 200 plus check items. When it comes to the access key leak detection, I mentioned you during the account security. When we are creating a sub account, it asks for console access as well as the open API access. When you open the open API access, it will create an access key as well as the secret key. So in case if the key gets leaked somewhere and it is used by some unauthorized vendors or providers, then it will detect it and give us an alert. And the security center as a whole, it is a one console which provides asset management, detection and response, vulnerability management, anti-ransomware protection, baseline check, threat analysis, and container protection. So this is interoperable between all Alibaba cloud services or with multi-cloud scenarios also. Alibaba Cloud's security services are like very good enough in having the configuration with all types of other cloud services. And it has some functional advantages of standard configuration and misconfiguration corrections. Now we see on who can benefit from the security center. The host type is like Alibaba Cloud Host, which has an IDC host, container, and multi-cloud host. For the risk, it mitigate the risks of mining, ransomware, website tampering, access key leakage, vulnerability utilization, risky configuration, container escape, and so on. And then for the security requirement, it has a unified platform. So you just get into this security center and you have all these security threats managed under one console, and you can just manage everything within few clicks. And it has a unified capacity where we have a functional closed loop from hardening, defense, and detection. And then about the unified data, we have the log record of all the host networks and the security data. So this will provide like the traceability of all the information. And then we have the application scenarios where we do the compliance, security operations, anti-ransomware, website protection, and unified management. So there are a lot of benefits with this security centers. First advantage is like there is no installation required. Like This security center is automatically activated. If there is any threat identified, it will automatically identify and provide you with the notification. And it has powerful detective capability with like 250 plus detection models on the cloud for identifying the attack chain. And then we have the vulnerability patching for the business continuity. And then we have the cloud products configuration check where we do the adaptation with more than 15 products on the cloud. And then we have the anti-ransomware capability, which is provided with a triple layer protection. So for this anti-ransomware capability, as you can see, yesterday somebody was asking about whether Alibaba Cloud has the capability of anti-ransomware. You can use the security center and automatically the anti-ransomware facility can be obtained. Like for example, recently there was security attack with the Windows operating system worldwide, right? So then Alibaba Cloud brought a patch which can be installed in its servers with which it can avoid that particular security threat. So that was possible actually. And then we have a unified container protection. So this unified container protection will provide a container construction, deployment, and operations. It will support like a multi-cloud environment and vulnerability patching. And then it is used for like a continuous expansion and of security capabilities. And now we see the benefits, we see the features of Alibaba Cloud against the other cloud service providers when it comes to the security center. We have security center in Alibaba Cloud as well as in AWS. In Azure, we have the CrowdStrike, and then we have another product called as Wiz. So the deployment, if you see in Alibaba Cloud, it is out of the box for ECS. That is, you don't need to install anything, and then you can deploy the agents to access across the multi-cloud host. Like even you have the servers from multiple hosts, you can get the services from the security center. And then for the anti-ransomware, it will help you to detect the encryption process and the backup in the hybrid backup recovery. And then for the vulnerability management, we have one platform that involves vulnerability detection and automatic patching. CSPM provides like 200 plus product configuration check items. So that many information is managed. So these are all the comparison you can see when compared with Alibaba Cloud against the other competitors in the market. And now we see the security deployment on this security center. We have the network, which is connected with the cloud firewall and the security groups. So this has like a antivirus intrusion detection system sandbox with the security service, and it can provide the security for the resources in the cloud as well as with the in Alibaba Cloud as well as with those with the other cloud scenarios. So then for the benefits, it has like a low resource consumption, and the detection is based on the host, platform, and the networks. And then we have unlimited capacity on the cloud. So this will give rise to situations like you get only important alerts, like some non-critical alerts are like processed automatically, and only those which requires the user's attention, it is brought into the attention of the users. And then we have a minimal response time where the tools and built-in functions allow you to focus on the required human intervention. So these are like the features. And then we have like the easy maintenance. Like you don't need to have like an engineer to check all the services. So you have one single engineer we manage from the control panel. So we have this topology for the security center. We have the console, and it is connected with the security center. And this security center is connected with the servers within Alibaba Cloud as well as the other IDCs. So if it is within Alibaba Cloud, then it can manage within the VPCs also. Anyone have questions here? Where are the Alibaba's data centers in the world? Okay, firstly, I will start with Indonesia. You have 3 data centers in Jakarta. Singapore has 3. Malaysia has 2. Bangkok and Manila has 1 each. It is going to expand like 2 each by the end of this year. And then we have like data centers in Seoul, Tokyo, and then in Hong Kong. And then we have like data centers in Dubai. And then we have in, for example, we have in um, USA. For USA, we have it in both the coast, like along the west coast, we have in California, and in the east coast, we have it in uh, Virginia, and then in Europe, we have in Frankfurt and uh, London. So we have like totally 29 regions and 87 availability zones. Are these features paid or free or like premium subs? Usually for minimum usage, it is free, but if you are taking some premium services, it will have some charges. Did not need installation for the agent, not only for the other cloud provider need to install agent for Alibaba Security Center. Yeah, there you need to install the agent. Otherwise, how you can get access to the operating system? So in that case, you definitely need the agent. So the server guard will contain like 2 protocols like Aliundun and Aliundun update. So for the Linux system, they process with the root account. So these things you can remember for your exam. They run with the system account, and the directory for the process will be located in such and such locations for each and every operating systems. When it comes to non-working status, it will consume like 1% of the CPU, with which around it uses like 10 megabyte of memory. And then for the peak working time, it will not go more than 10% of the CPU usage, and it uses like 80 megabytes of memory. So this is the centralized asset management. So what do you see in this one? Can anybody explain what do you see in this screen? Monitoring tool, dashboard. It's not a monitoring tool, it's like a dashboard. You can just use it for monitoring, also to mitigate the risk. If there is any risk, you will manage it in this console itself. Yeah, that's correct. And then we have the asset exposure analysis. We can have the asset fingerprints also. So you can see like which of the ports and the softwares are used for this assets. So in the exposed public IP, you see like the total number of IP addresses that are exposed to the internet from that cloud account. So if there is anything which are exposed to the internet, but it is having some security issues, they will get notified through this security center. Then in the gateways, we look on to the total number of gateway assets that are exposed to the internet, like the network address translation and the server load balancer. For the exposed ports, we use the total number of ports that are exposed to the internet. And for the exposed components, we use the total number of server components that are exposed to the internet. And for the exploitable vulnerability, we use the total number of vulnerabilities that can be exploited by the attackers and the number of vulnerabilities. And then for the weak passwords, we use like some number of weak passwords, and if it is exposed to the internet, it will find and update it to you. So now for the vulnerability detection, so we have seen like a lot of patches which has been delivered. So we have like the flaws in terms of hardware issues and software flaws, some specific implementation of protocols, or for some system security. We allow the attackers to access or disrupt the systems without any authorization. So for this, we have like first level, we have the uh, important or general. So that's for the advanced edition. So usually we have these kind of security products which are usually for free for a limited usage, but later it will be having some costing if you are having more requirements. Just give me a moment. So these vulnerabilities usually changes according to the time. So you can see like how the cloud firewall or like some batch utilization are managed. Like if it is cloud firewall virtual patch, it is managed within a few days. If it is for batch utilization or patch release, it will go for within weeks. And then for large scale outbreak, it goes for a few months. So this Alibaba Cloud as a security center will provide early emergency protection, and it will provide the ability to fix the vulnerabilities after the patch is launched.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So if you see the portal, you will see like the assets. It shows like what are the servers you have, containers you have, what kind of security risk you have. If there is anything vulnerable, it will show. Like you can identify with the color coding. If it is like a very top priority risk, it will show like in red. So that is like a high level priority. And then blue is for the medium level priority, and green is for the low level priority. And then it shows like which type of operating system, whether it is for Linux or for Windows or for some kind of web CMS in OS like WordPress or e-commerce carting softwares. And then for fixing the vulnerabilities, we have the patch management. So this is a special function in Alibaba Cloud's security center. We use the Yum utility, which can automatically download and install the patch package. So this one you can note down for the exam. So sometimes you may be asked like what kind of commands you use for Linux. And for Windows, we use the Security Center agent, which can automatically download or install and delete the patch package, and there is no manual operation. It also helps to system of vulnerability remediation, and especially hotfix for popular CMS, that is a content management system. Any fix that is carried out using methods outside the security center will have to be verified. And then we have the urgent vulnerabilities where we have the suggestions provided and will have to be fixed manually. And then we have like the embedded SOAR. So for the SOAR capacities, we have like the traditional method and the automated method to be compared. The traditional method is manual, whereas the automated method is uh, or fully automated. And the traditional method will take like some downtime for functioning, but in automated method, there is no downtime. And for the traditional method, takes a few weeks to finish the process. But for the automated method, it will take less than a day. And then the traditional method, when compared with the detection vulnerability, you select the instance for vulnerability fixing, and then we evaluate the vulnerability. So in the automated method, we take a snapshot of the instance A, and then we have the planned system downtime where we create an instance B based on a snapshot. We use the backup for the unbinding the EIP and bind it to the instance B, and then validate and restart the instance, and then for running the automatic checks and unbind the EIP. So all these are automatically managed. Like for example, when you bind an EIP, if it is not protected, this system will automatically identify. And if you have fixed that issue and brought it into the security system, it will change automatically. Now here we have the hardening with the baseline checks. Like when you create an ECS instance, automatically we were asked to choose whether you want to have like a security hardening. So it will automatically get provided by the security center. So in that case, you don't need to think on whether we are running with a particular system or not. Like you don't need to worry whether the security center is installed or not. It will automatically do it for you. And there are like a wide range of baseline metrics like the OS baselines, database baselines, and then with the weak passwords and the middleware baselines. And then for the benchmark coverage, we have the CIS benchmark, MLPS for the Go China customer, and then we have the baseline based vulnerability hardening, where we use the batch host patching and patching with the snapshot for better protection. So what can Alibaba Cloud Security Center do in a 0-day phase actually? It will be like auditing all the assets in the cloud account, and then it will say like, is there any security threats available for that? Is there any schedule from Alibaba to release the patch like weekly, monthly, or annually? So the patches for the operating system, you mean? I'm not sure what patch you are meaning to. So based on like the best practices, this security center is used to provide a secure cloud environment. For the best practices, we need to do like covering the identity authentication, network access control, data security, log auditing, and basic security protection to improve the Alibaba Cloud security configuration. And then for the configuration checking, we use cloud product configuration checklist and give advice to improve the security level. And in these, we have the focus on the security of building the images, deploying the configuration, and running using the runtime. So we have like the integrated operations as well as the dev security ops. So for the dev security ops, it is having the integration with the CI/CD pipelines, eliminating the known threats in the first place. And then the integrated operation, we have the asset management, automated detection, scanning, deployment, closed loop. And then we have managing 100 plus applications with a minimal effort. And then for this trusted images, we have continuously scanning the image on vulnerability, signatures on trusted image, ensuring image security from the supplier. And then for the configuration checks, we continuously do the baseline check. For even we do it for Docker and Kubernetes for the container services. And then for the evasion for prevention and threat detection, we have like more than 200 security detection models, like the AI based models. 6 models are used for preventing the evasion alone. And then we have Alibaba Cloud Antivirus Engine in that case. And then we mentioned about the security of containers. So for the security of the container, we have secure container and host environments. It will detect the container exploitation threats like the Docker CP and the Docker run dirty code. And for all these, for the network visualization and vulnerability management and all these issues, the solutions are offered on Alibaba Cloud. And then we have the threat detection. We have automatic threat detection to boost the defense. So we have auto correlation that has a related alarms to or identify the multiple low risk anomalies to feel real intrusion anomalies and improper security operation efficiency. So this has an automated association which associate malicious files and abnormal behavior, where we associate multiple low risk alarms to identify advanced threats. And then for the visualization with the time as the axis, the abnormal information is at a glance. And then we have the threat detection, where we use it for the security center detects the threats for your assets based on more than 250 detection models which are available. So you can see like the dashboard, this is how it looks like. So you see like the urgent or the warning or notice based on the color code you can identify. And then for the automatic defense role, we use a closed loop handling, and even for brute force attack on the passwords also we use security center. So when you take the ACA cloud computing exam, one of the most popular questions asked is like what is the security service which is used to uh, track on the brute force attack? This then it is security center. And then we have the threat detection capability, where we have an alert on the web page tampering, and then for suspicious process, web shell, unusual logon, sensitive file tampering, and based on more than 250 threat models. And then we have the threat detection, where we do the check for the access key leaks. So as I mentioned earlier, when you create an access key and by accident, if it gets leaked, like for example, you write a source code and you upload it to GitHub, and there is a vulnerability that this particular access key can be used by some miscreants, and they can get access to all the cloud services which you are using through some command prompt services. So in that case, it is a heavy threat. That's why we have the access key leakage detection, which will detect the source code stored in platforms like GitHub, and check the usernames and passwords when the assets are leaked. So we provide some recommendations to the users, either to delete it manually or disable the access key and then do the whitelist. And then we have the threat remediation, where we have the security center remedies, which issues quickly and automatically. A traditional method, we have a manual response, which takes hours or even days, and it can collect the logs for the SIEM and send alerts to the end user. And the end user can even configure the firewall rules. But here in automated method, you don't need to send anything, and you can just don't need to even configure the rules for the firewall. It is fully automated response, and it just takes a very few seconds when compared to hours to days in the traditional method. So that's how we get benefited through the cloud security center in Alibaba Cloud. And next we have the security features. We have 6 antivirus engines. Two are provided with the business version, two provided by some third party, and two are provided developed by Alibaba Cloud. So we have the Alibaba Cloud Sandbox and Alibaba Cloud Machine Learning, and they analyze about like 14 different types of logs, and there is a huge amount of malware samples available with which it can identify the malwares coming in, and world top sample number of suspicious files or viruses or processes are mitigated with the help of Cloud Security Center. So the main feature of this is that it will manage like 73 different types of logging with about 700 terabytes of data in 250 models. And now we have like the service editions. So we have the basic edition, which is free of charge. Usually when you create an Alibaba Cloud account, you get this basic edition, you will not be charged. So this will detect like the logon attack or DDoS attack or common vulnerabilities or configuration risk of the cloud services. And then we have the antivirus. So this has subscription mode also. So here it will provide the alert and the antivirus functionality. And then in the advanced, it also has subscription and it provides the alert
Saya sudah
against
bicara
the
panjang
antivirus.
lebar, ternyata belum jelas ya. Sambil
So here we have like the vulnerability detection and fixing the security reports. And then for the enterprise one, we have the extra thing that we have the baseline checks with the asset fingerprint management and attack analysis also done. And then the last one is the ultimate edition that also comes with a subscription, which has container image scan and threat detection on Kubernetes and radar with alerting and antiviruses. Now coming to the management of cloud resources, we look on to the security issues and the various risks on the cloud. And then we think about the Bastion host and functions and features, Bastion host rules and Bastion host console. So before that, let me answer some queries. Can the security alert be forwarded to email? Normally no, but you can get the alert in the notification in the cloud account. What if the threat is a false positive? Can we make an exception for the rules? No. If you use automated method, how does Alibaba knows that the traffic is legit or not false positive? It is purely based on the AI models we have trained. There are like around 250 plus models, right? So based on that, it will perform. What ratio does Alibaba consider a threat into a false positive? So false positive means it's definitely wrong, right? So we usually have a good accuracy when it comes to the threat detection. I believe you mentioned we don't need to configure firewall and for the automated response. Yeah, true. Does it mean we can't configure the automated response itself? It can only take action after certain suspicious activities. So the notification will come only when the threat is detected. So until then, it will be like a free and it is having like an automated response. Now we see about the security issues and the risk. We have like the for the successful operations of the cloud, we have some issues with the improper identity management, improper permissions management, third-party security risk, and a lack of security log audits. And then for the risk, we have unclear division of responsibilities, privilege abuse, data leakage, and compliance issues. So these are like the various issues and risks associated with the security center.
kira Mas, ayam lu. Mbak surat loro. Lagi.
So what is exactly a Bastion host? It's also like a unified platform, like a dashboard. It will provide a unified, efficient, and secured cloud-based operations and maintenance. So it has like a cross-domain operations and maintenance where we manage the assets across multiple VPCs that reside in multiple different regions from one place. And then we have the user and asset management, where we have the role-based user management, which can import the users from the RAM, AD, or like LDAP or Azure AD. So you can manage those things with the Bastion host, and then you can manage these assets like ECS and Alibaba Cloud databases. And then for the operations and management maintenance management, we log on to the Bastion host through the clients like the Windows Remote Desktop Software or like X Shell or Secure CRT or PuTTY. And through those consoles, you can manage it. And then we have the operation audit where we have the Bastion host records all the operations for future playback and audit. The file transfers also can be audited. So now we see like the entry and the monitoring system, which we have called as the Bastion host. So the operations and maintenance engineer will come and access this particular system. It will ask who are you and what is the purpose of your visit. Just like an immigration officer in the airport, it will ask a lot of questions, right? And it will check whether it is a legit source or not. So once it identifies that it is not a legit source, then it will block that particular user. So firstly, for that, it will do the identity verification. And then we have the permissions and access control. And as a result, it will be sending to the cloud resources through some monitoring systems. Now we see like the different functions of Bastion hosts and the features. So this offers the functions like user identification, account management, and auditing the accounts. The data flow of common operations and maintenance like SSH, remote desktop for Windows, SFTP, and recorded with the forward proxy mode. And the Bastion host will record all the operations and logs in real time and facilitate the audits. So for the Bastion host roles, like we have like three different roles actually. Firstly, it is the Bastion host administrator. So this administrator is like one user who has full permissions of the Bastion host. If somebody is having full permission, who is that? Can anybody respond? Who is the person? Root. Yeah. So that is actually the root user. And the permissions of the administrator includes like asset management, user management, and then some authorization rule management, control policy management, command approval, session auditing, and then we have host operations and maintenance and system settings. And then the next one is the Bastion host operations and maintenance administrator. This is a user who has permission to log on to the Bastion host and perform the operations and maintenance operations on assets. And then we have the Bastion host auditor, which we use the user to have a permission with the Bastion host audit data. And this auditor can block the real-time sessions. And then we have the Bastion host console, which is simple and easy to understand console. Like we have like the users coming in and then from which user groups they are coming in. And then we see like the statistics, which time frame they are functioning and all. So this will have a navigation pane, and then we have an overview of the Bastion host, and then the Bastion host information, operations and maintenance statistics, and real-time information. So you have a quick question. Can you think of other examples that explain Bastion host with no experience with those with no experience with the technologies? So you can think about a scenario and tell me in the chat box.
Like Yum Server.
Yeah, like a network firewall or like the immigration. So it will check for all the requests coming into the server, and then it will be like a gatekeeper. So Bastion means it's like a fort, like in olden days in kings, they used to live in the forts, right? So having a very strong fort is very mandatory for them. So they used to do it that way. So when anyone approaches that particular fort, they will have to answer a lot of questions and prove their genuinity while entering into the system. So then we have the border control. Yeah, that's also correct. And that's about the Bastion host and security center. So far, I have explained about this. If you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box. Is there any feature that Alibaba offers some kind of like a honeypot to secure our server? I think that one is with the firewall, right? Honeypot will be dealing with a lot with the firewall. The firewall is the next one. Actually, like the relationship between server security and server guard. Actually, we have renamed it as security center now, so you don't need to worry about like server guard. Those are like the old terminologies. I mean, the server guard is also available, but the functionality is refined and it is brought into server guard actually. So next we see the firewalls and attack mitigations on Alibaba Cloud. So by the end of this course, you will be able to describe the different types of attacks a cloud service or application is subjecting to. And then we describe the cloud firewalls and its features. And then we describe the web application firewall and its features and describe the anti-DDoS and its features. So there are like common threats to the cloud with the cloud firewall, web application firewall, and anti-DDoS. So when you think about the common threats to the cloud, we have to look on to the famous cyber attacks, top 10 attacks from certified by OWASP, and then Alibaba Cloud Security Services. So when you think about the famous cyber attacks, so we have like a lot of attacks which happened over the past few years. From 2014, we see like a Heartbleed bug vulnerability which attacked a lot of uh, PCs or like the internet terminals in China. And then in 2016, we had the Mirai botnet attack, which attacked the US. And then we had this 2017 ransomware attack. So anybody know or remember the name of that ransomware attack which happened in 2017? WannaCry, that's correct. Yeah. So they were bringing this WannaCry attack onto the computers, and it will not affect anything with the contents in the computer, but it will say like if you want to get access to the data, you have to pay with some cryptocurrencies, something like that. And this is the OWASP top 10 attacks. So you can see like the different types of attacks in 2017 as well as in the year 2021. You can see which type of attacks went up the scale and which one came down the scale. So in 2017, the injection attack was like the top one. And then in 2021, the broken access control became the top attack. So then there are like some new attacks like insecure design, software and data integrity failures, and server-side request forgery. So these are all based on the survey from the OWASP. So if you just Google OWASP top 10, then you will get to that link where you can get more information on this. So as you know that Alibaba Cloud's security services, there are like it provides top choices for the cloud security. It provides the protection for like more than 40% of the websites in China, and it safeguards over 1 million businesses on the internet, and it protects like more than 5.76 million vulnerabilities for the fix and the patched, and then it is delivered emergency response for like 66 high risk vulnerabilities. And then we see about the Alibaba Cloud Firewall and then its benefits and case studies. So in Alibaba Cloud Firewall, if you raise your hand, please post your chat, post it in the chat box. If you are raising the hand, I can't understand what you're mentioning. So please mentioning it in the chat box. So there is a first cloud native SaaS firewall, that is Alibaba Cloud Firewall. So it is, according to Gartner, it is named a challenger for the years 2021 and 22. So when you think about the security products from Alibaba Cloud, we are competing high enough against the those in the market from the other cloud service providers. So it has a mature cloud firewall offering, which will provide like a direct cloud service protection against the competitors. It features like it has some features like application control, URL filtering, and advanced threat prevention. And even ICSA Labs has given the Cloud Intrusion Prevention System certification to Alibaba Cloud Firewall. It has been used by like more than 10,000 enterprise and small and medium business users. More than 1,500 billion attacks are resisted every week for the customers on the cloud. And there are like 5 million integration of threat for the threat intelligence, monitor more than 5 million malicious IP and domain on the internet. It provides a protection for like a 95 percentage of the efficiency of attack for like using the cloud firewall. And for this particular product, we have the certification of ISO 9001, ISO 27000 series, and BS 10012, and CSA star and PCI DSS. And then for the traditional firewall, we have like multiple account and VPC topology with the north, south, and east-west traffic protection, including the intrusion prevention system, access control list, and logging. It has like a cross availability zone, high availability, and scalability. So for the traditional firewall solution, we provide the license based on the virtual machine vCPU models, which restrict the capacity, and then it deploy at least one virtual machine firewall per VPC per availability zone. And there is a need for rerouting the traffic to the firewall VMs manually. And then we build the monitor systems for the stability. So in case if we buy the new license and deploy, the businesses will need high capacity. Uh, it will look something similar to the built-in firewall of Windows. And the weakness is that it has a higher capital expenditure on the cloud. It will not support the pay-as-you-go payment mode. And there is an additional infrastructure cost for setting the virtual machines, server load balancer, and monitoring systems. High availability failover, which brings about 2-minute business downtime with a poor scalability, which can't scale up or down the smoothly and instantly. And it has increased complexity on architecture and network management with a single point of failure introduced and a scanning or testing traffic it may bring businesses. And now we see Alibaba Cloud Firewall, which provides like a multi-border traffic security on the cloud. So you can see like the different vendors who are using, like you can see like Taobao.com or Alipay or GitHub. These all can be regulated using the Alibaba Cloud Firewall. So these are managed by Alibaba Cloud. So you don't need to deploy it using any physical device or virtual device. But in the traditional setup, you need to do all these things. But in Alibaba Cloud Firewall, you don't need to do it. Already it is available. And then we have the integration of these cloud firewall with the networking services like virtual private cloud, cloud enterprise network, or EIP or elastic IP. And as far as the reliability is concerned, it has a built-in high availability mechanism with no extra configuration and expenses. So it has a competitive advantage when it compares with the other cloud service providers. So you can see like the payment mode and the pricing, and then we have like the cross availability, high availability, and it is very high in terms of Alibaba Cloud. And then for like internet and inbound and outbound traffic, it has a real-time cloud asset synchronization, but in some others it doesn't have. So these are like the various advantages you can see for Alibaba Cloud's cloud firewall when compared with the other services. So for the log analysis, every product you need to do with a manual configuration, but here it is integrated with the SLS, that is simple log service. So you just need to configure the simple log service and turn it on with the cloud firewall. You will be getting the log details. So now we have the competitive advantages. So for the high scalability and reliability, we adopt the high availability architecture with auto cross zones failover, and the firewall can scale up and down smoothly and flexibly. And then we have simplified traffic control across the virtual private clouds. We have the service chain based integration with the cloud enterprise network. And then it has like the enablement of automatic VPC firewall settings. So even in the yesterday's demo in the LabX, you saw like the settings of the VPC for the ECS instances. So those things also can be automatically managed using the cloud firewall. It has a completed IPS and TI, that is the intrusion prevention and threat intelligence for the ongoing managed updates. And then for multi-account centralized management, we have the unified cloud network security management and control, like the traffic access controls and defenses. So now we see on why we definitely need to have the cloud firewall. So it has the enterprise network zone with the partition control, and it will help to defend the network attacks on the cloud using the intrusion prevention system and the threat and intelligence. So for this intrusion prevention system, you have a next generation intrusion detection prevention system. That means it has some kind of AI models which are trained based on the attacks, and it can identify the source attack using the cloud firewall. And then we have a multi-account unified security management system where we have the whole holistic view of all the network assets and the unified management. Now, who are all the targeted customers for using this cloud firewall? So if you are in the internet industry, you can go with anyone who is using the inbound traffic protection and the outbound ones for the gaming, for e-shopping and online education. And then for the retail and the e-commerce, we have the various fast-moving commodity goods, that is FMCG, and then for the cosmetics and jewelry brands, and then for the sporting and resorts. And then for the transportation industry, we use the automobiles and the travel industries, the transportation logistics industries also. And then for the banking, we use for finance, securities, and insurance. Now we see like the scenarios of where we can use the cloud firewall. So here we see the south-north network traffic security. We use a cloud native or third-party security services to provide networks from the attacks or intrusions and crawlers. And we build a network security architecture to safeguard the applications. And then we have the recommended solution. We use the VPC, which is isolated from other business VPCs. And then we deploy the internet firewall with the filter before the network traffic reaches the VPC. So that means we have the VPC firewall. So before that, we have the internet firewall, which will handle everything, and then it brings to the VPC. And then we have the deployment of an internal network firewall to reinforce the network protection. There are some benefits like simplified deployment with just one click to enable the firewall service with automatic synchronization with the network components. And then for the high security, it supports the intrusion prevention system with the traffic analysis and threat sharing. And then also it provides a high reliability for cloud native high reliability and elastic expansion and the contraction capacity under the network functions of the virtualization architecture. Now this is a east-west network security. Before that, let me answer some question. If we stop the ECS and subscription, it will be still chargeable even our subscription was expired, or it will be delete automatic and no chargeable. So if it is in subscription mode, if you have stopped it also, it will take that money for that full tenure you have booked for. So in case if you don't want to get charged, you better delete it. So it will give you a uh, partial payback. Or like a refund you can get. So here in the second scenario, we have the east-west network security scenario where we implement the access control for the east-west network traffic. And we improve the network security by using the cloud native firewalls or third-party firewalls. And then we need to build a network security architecture to isolate the different businesses. So here we deal with a lot of other regions also. So in that case, we need to have Express Connect to connect to the transit routers and then create multiple routing across the regions. And then it has to be filtered by using the firewalls, and then you have to use untrusted network traffic. And then we need to deploy a VPC which will enable the access control, and then use the third-party firewalls if any to filter the network traffic. But it is not needed. It will automatically get done with the Alibaba Cloud firewall. So this also enables the firewalls in the access control VPC to filter the network traffic that flows between the data center and the Alibaba Cloud. So the benefits for this are like simplified deployment, high security, and high reliability. Next, we see the web application firewall. So these web application firewalls are used for protecting your websites for difficulties in the website protection, and then for the web application firewall protection capabilities. And then we use the tool for like the website protection. So this is another tool like the cloud firewall. We have the web application firewall. We get the different attacks from the hackers or like crawlers or scanners. They get access through the internet, and the genuine users also send some service requests from the browsers or the mobile phones or some search engines and apps. And then we have the attack request or the service request which goes to like uh, the web application firewall. If there is any threat identified, then it will automatically detect it and then bring it to the malicious request filtering. So according to various statistics, Alibaba Cloud Web Application Firewall is stated as the leader in Asia Pacific. It provides a positive security model and machine learning based anomaly. And then we have the features which are proven from the Gartner statistics. Like according to 2019 Gartner Magic Quadrant, we have got included in like which part? We are in 2019 we were in the level of niche players, and then Forrester in 2020 has brought like we have gone to the level of contenders. And then when it comes to the Asia Pacific Cloud Service Provider, according to Forrester, we are at the level of challengers. And Alibaba Cloud WAF or the Web Application Firewall holds like the around the 48.5% of the market share in Greater China, so which is the larger market share than any other competitors combined together in China. So there are some difficulties in website protection. So this web application firewall is specifically for the websites. So we have the difficulty in sorting the assets, like multiple type of assets like websites, applications, and the APIs. And then there is a difficulty in obtaining the open asset status of assets. And then we have the difficulty in tracing attacks with a limited amount of logs retained, advanced techniques to circumvent the protection policies. And then we have the difficulty in identifying the risk with the difficulty in detecting the vulnerabilities, and then difficulty in identifying the services affected by the attacks. And then finally, we have the difficulty in blocking the attacks, like the number of attacks, difficulty in defending the against zero-day vulnerabilities. And then we have the Alibaba Cloud Web Application Firewall deployment models. This product will support multiple deployment modes, including the CNAME record mode, transparent mode, and CDN mode, and hybrid cloud mode. Sorry, just give me a moment. Yeah, so for the CNAME record mode, the application scope is very broad, and it can protect the services that are deployed in and outside of the cloud. The scenarios where we can use is like the services which are deployed outside the cloud, but something like the IDCs are like some on-premises system which are connected with the cloud. And then we have the transparent proxy mode. You can deploy the WAF without charging the network, without changing the network architecture. It uses a low latency within milliseconds. And then we have the service forwarding and the security protection that are separated, and the traffic can be redirected to origin servers with a few clicks. And in this way, we use the security, stability, reliability of the services which are ensured. And then we have the web application firewall, which is supported in multiple regions. And then the scenario where we have to use are like the layer 7 server load balancer instances that are deployed or planned to be deployed in the cloud. The users do not want to change the IP addresses that provide external services. And then we have the multiple domain names that are hosted on origin servers. And then we have multiple non-standard ports which can be used. And then we have the CDN mode. So this CDN mode, we can deploy the WAF without changing the network architecture as well. So this is also something similar to the transparent proxy mode. So this is for those using the Alibaba Cloud's CDN product. And next we have the hybrid cloud mode. So this web application firewall can be flexibly deployed without the limitations of the deployment position as well as the region. The services which are protected include the VPCs across the cloud's resources, or the services that are connected using the leased lines. So the leased lines means like with the cloud and the non-cloud resources are connected using the leased lines usually. And the services that are deployed in different servers. You can add your services to web application firewall using the IP addresses. In that case, you do not need to change the traffic directions. So the scenario here are like the services which are not migrated to the cloud. The web application firewall must be deployed in a specific position, and access to services from internal networks which must be protected. Now we see the advantages of Alibaba Cloud Web Application Firewall. We have a robust protection which protects the web services from web attacks and malicious crawlers by using the fine-grained access control. This supports for various deployment modes and service types, which protects the services that are deployed from different cloud environments, including the public cloud and the hybrid cloud. Support multiple deployment modes, including the CNAME record, transparent proxy mode, and CDN mode. and it supports various services like all the HTTP protocols. So the internet is backed by the web application firewall cluster, and it provides intelligent engines and threat intelligence, attack analysis, and attack source tracing, various protection and scenarios provided by dedicated protection from the websites, web applications, or APIs from attacks. Now you see like the differences between Alibaba Cloud Web Application Firewall against the other cloud service providers and the traditional firewalls. So it can defend against the traditional web application attacks and solve the issues. It can defend against the DDoS attacks and the bots and frauds. So for the response speed, it is like within 24 hours. Even for the zero-day vulnerabilities. And then for the performance, it will allow you to scale out the protection nodes within seconds. And it provides the protection capabilities within like at the level of million level of QPS. And then for the deployment, we use the protection of services that are deployed in and outside of the cloud. So this supports multi-region and multi-cluster disaster recovery. We can deploy this web application firewall within like 5 minutes. And then we have the support service, which provides the online expert services. We can contact the customer service using some Ding Talk groups or in real time also. So these are like the anti-bot and the scan protection. We have the JavaScript captcha verification and throttling, which will use the block script-based bots. And then we use the SDKs, which uses the apps which will ensure all the requests are from the legitimate applications. And then we have the intelligent algorithm and threat intelligence and sequential verification and professional service, which defends against the sophisticated attacks. So we can add multiple conditions and bring into the throttling, and then we can mitigate those attacks. So for the API protection, we have the visualization of the API traffic, near real-time alerting for abnormal API calls, monitoring of API publishing and unpublishing, self-learning of API request parameter models, one-click API protection, and on-cloud management system. So these are like some cases where we provide the API protection. So this is for the financial industry. So in case if you are having like a mix of for financial industries, usually we have public cloud as well as the private cloud combined together or with the on-premises with the cloud. So in that case, we need to have like a hybrid cloud web application firewall. You can use that and you don't need to change any network architecture in that case. And next we see about the anti-DDoS attacks. Is using server load balancer, anti-DDoS, WAF, and cloud firewall together will be the best strategies to protect cloud. You are not going to use it. It is automatically available once you create the resources. So it's not like you are choosing those kind of services. In case if you need more protection, you will upgrade those services. That's all. By default, you will have anti-DDoS. By default, you will have cloud firewall. That's what I'm mentioning. Like it will be automatically available when you spin off the resources. So the DDoS attacks and their goals. So usually if there is no DDoS attack, the service will be available. Let me check. There is some questions. I think you can ask the organizers. So because usually when you register for this, we will be able to provide when you're sharing your account UIDs. So if there is no attack available, then there is no need of recovery time. And the diagram also shows like it is all green, right? So sometimes it will be like partially with the normal request and partially with the attack. So what exactly is the DDoS attack? So I can tell you with one analogy, like there might be some shop. You want to go and buy genuinely some laptops or something, but many people are doing window shopping. They are engaging all the executives there and they are not buying anything. That means they also don't do anything and they also don't let you to go and buy also. So in that case, it is like a DDoS attack, like a denial of service, right? Similarly, if the attack is all full, just give me a moment. So until the attack is being mitigated and you bring the service interruption, we can bring the request that can be processed by your service. So this DDoS attacks will congest the inbound bandwidth and they exhaust the computing resources. So this will be this service will become unavailable and there might be some losses that may occur. So we have like the attacks like volumetric attacks, connection flood attacks, and application resource exhaustion attacks. So for the DDoS trends, there were like 910,000 DDoS attacks. Almost a million attacks occurred in the year 2022 itself. These number of attacks whose bandwidths were like more than 100 uh, for like consecutive years. For 4 consecutive years, and then the volume of the attack traffic that exceeds like 300 gigabytes increased by like almost 30% when compared to 2021. So these are like various statistics you can see from the China's performance of DDoS product in the mainland China. And then we see like the product family of anti-DDoS. So we have the anti-DDoS basic and anti-DDoS pro and premium. So this pro version is available in mainland China, and then the premium version is available in the international market. So in the pro version in China, it is using a border gateway protocol. And then in the international version, in case if you are having more than 5 gigabyte per second of DDoS attack, then you need to upgrade it to anti-DDoS premium. And then for cloud native protection, we have like anti-DDoS origin, which is having for small enterprises. And then for the enhanced uh, DDoS protection with the EIP. Next, we see these are like the various anti-DDoS service families available. So as I mentioned, like in China, we use the anti-DDoS Pro. It uses the border gateway protocol. And the anti-DDoS premium in the international website, it uses the Anycast. Then now we see like who are the exact customers who really need the anti-DDoS. Like we have the websites, various gaming services, internet services, computer software services, and financial services. These are all the major players when it comes to using anti-DDoS. So it provides like a cross-border acceleration and protection with a limited bandwidth and suboptimal routing. And then we have anti-DDoS premium of mitigation plan and anti-DDoS premium, which has the mitigation capabilities at terabyte per second level. And now we see the scenario like with the origin server of the service is deployed outside the Chinese mainland. And then we need to have like a look onto the server. If it is more than 5 gigabyte per second, then you need to go for the premium version. So now we see about the benefits of having this anti-DDoS protection. It provides a real-time monitoring and mitigation capability, and it has an intelligent scheduling capability which accelerate across the borders and regions, and it can be used with the CDN integrated with the anti-DDoS. And then we have mitigation capability against the layer 7 attacks, which can peak up to like more than 25 million attacks. And then we have the global mitigation capability, which can support 13 nodes around the world, which provide more than 10 terabytes of mitigation capabilities. And then we have uh, intelligent protection capabilities, which provides an intelligent protection engine which automatically applies the mitigation policies. Now we see the scorecards. We defend against an attack whose peak bandwidth is like 1.47 terabyte per second, and the peak packet rate is like 600 plus million PPS. And then we have like in China, we had the memcached DDoS attack where the peak bandwidth was like 756 gigabyte per second. In And then in there is a resource exhaustion attack where the peak was like 25.25 million. And then in 2022 February, there was another resource exhaustion attack where the peak was like 25.28 million. So all these were managed effectively by Alibaba Cloud's web anti-DDoS. Now these are all the mitigation capabilities. Like we have the scenario which we can see like more than almost 13 nodes around the world are available for the anti-DDoS, and then there are like more than 10 terabytes per second mitigation capabilities with the border gateway protocol network in China, Anycast technology outside China, EIP with anti-DDoS enabled, and best effort protection. And then we have the intelligent layer 7 protection. We have this HTTP flood attacks, which can be used for real-time website monitoring, status monitoring, and real-time intelligent policy generation, which can be used for baseline training, identification of abnormal distribution, output of abnormal combination, handling methods, and validity period based on abnormality. And then we have the global whitelist, regional control, and the fine-grained access control. So all these will provide like a intelligent protection using the anti-DDoS. So this is all about the cloud firewall and the DDoS protection. Do you have any questions? And there is some question I see. I have the ECS instance like this. Will it be charged after expiration? I need your solution. So it is subscription. So subscription, even if you have stopped also, it will charge for that particular time being. You cannot use pay as you go. But if it has expired already, then after that it doesn't take any money. But it is better you delete that instances. Any other question? So with this, we come to the end of ACA Cloud Security Certification Exam training. So I hope you all gained some knowledge on how to face this exam. As I mentioned, just go through the products documentation and then read some Linux command based on like some console commands and all. Then you will be able to pass easily. So I have posted the survey link. Please take that survey. There are no delete options. So for the delete option, I think you can look for the release. I think some place it will be available. You have to find it out. I have seen WAF protection rules in Alibaba Cloud's website. What are the WAF protection rules? You mean the differences? That's about the priorities of what kind of attack it is and how it has to be managed to defend whether it is for the CC attack or for the HTTP flood. So can you give us some recommendation, LabX, for helping more understanding for the next test? Yeah, like you just go to labx.alibaba and then you click on security, you will be able to see all the labs which corresponds to security. There is something with the KMS, you can try that one. And then few others are also available. Try that, then you should be okay. Can you explain about billing in Alibaba? Which product? Last time I heard about pay as you go. Any other billing mode other than pay as you go? If you just ask specifically, like generically, then what can I do? Like there will be pay as you go as well as subscription. So for the presentation, I'm not the right person to answer. So you have to ask. These PowerPoints which I have shared and the documentation of the products which I described, all these are enough for the certification exam. So this web application firewall products needed for ACA, right? Okay, I will share that link. ACA Cloud Security Certification. You can actually follow this one. So there you will be able to see what you need to prepare, what you need to study, how much questions will come in each of those parts. All these will be available. So just have a read on that particular file. If you have any questions, please post it in the chat box. I post the survey link again. Please fill in the survey. So that's all for today. Thank you all and all the very best for your ACA Cloud Security exam.